Hello, everybody. Happy Easter. I haven't been on in a week or so, and I had a little bit of time this morning, and I thought I'd come on and get started on a 4th of July Americana themed insert for my interchangeable window. So, one of the elements for the window is going to be this birdhouse. So, I'm going to kind of do it in the style of a American flag, painting the stripes red and white, and adding a little bit of blue. We're going to have a bird here. I think I'll probably make that a blue bird instead of red, because there's going to be red and white stripes. So I'm going to basically use the same colors that I did on the bench insert. So if you're into Americana patriotic style designs, that one's really, really cute. So what I'm going to do is use light buttermilk to paint these stripes. And I'm just using a makeup sponge and tapping oh so lightly. I hope everybody's having a great day. The weather here where I'm at is absolutely gorgeous. Finally. I think it's supposed to be in the 60s, maybe 70s, all week. So that's going to be a nice change. And I'm just lightly tapping over this, trying not to get it in my score lines, but if I do, I have a little tool that I can use. I might go back and just use a brush. I'm kind of an old school painter. I prefer using a brush. And while I'm at it, might as well paint some of these stars. And the mustache, we're going to be doing an Uncle Sam. And the reason why I'm choosing the light buttermilk is I'm kind of going for a rustic, primitive type look when it's all said and done. So I prefer just to use the light buttermilk over regular white. And then I'm going to go back and do some shading with some antique white. And that's just going to prim it up. Good morning, happy Easter. Now I am working on a Christmas theme bench insert. And we know Christmas is a ways away, but it'll be here before we know it. But I'm trying to do a farmhouse themed style insert. And I think this is going to be really nice. let's get a paintbrush out here and try and get a little bit more paint on here. Now, if this is your first time watching, thank you. Everything I paint is designs that I've created. The name of my Etsy shop is Elevita Designs. I have a YouTube channel if you'd like to subscribe. And I also have a Facebook page along with a private Facebook group that I do post videos in that group that I don't post on my page or on YouTube. Not a whole lot, but anyone can join the group. You know, you just have to request to join, and there's some questions you have to answer. We don't have that many members, and I'm okay with that. I love painting. I've been doing it for well over 30 years now, and took a 20-year break and just started a couple years ago. Back up again. And I thought I'd try designing. But I like to come on and paint my designs live. I don't claim to be an expert. There's some really great painters out there with some wonderful talent and great advice, but I'm here to, if you have any questions, if I can help you learn something wonderful, if I can inspire you to want to start painting, you know, that's wonderful as well. But I am not an expert by any means. All right. My favorite color of red, and I use all deco art paint, by the way. 98% of the paint I use is deco art. I love their colors. And so I just gravitate to them. I like to use country red. And when it comes to red, I don't care what color of red you're using, what shade. It takes a few coats. Now, something you can do is if it's a really large area, like if I was painting this whole entire birdhouse red, what I would do is I would base coat the wood a green color. A color I like to use is Deco Arts Foliage Green. I'm not big on that color, so I use that color to base coat. And that just kind of helps with coverage, because like I said, red is it's pretty tough. And I don't really care for, I like to always get a really good base coat. I don't care what color I'm using. I don't like blotchy. So it will take me a couple coats of this color, only because of that. And when I'm trying to go next, you know, up to an area that I don't want to get paint on, like, you know, close to the score line, I like to use a flat brush to go right up next to it. I feel I have more control over where the paint goes. That's what works for me. But you also have to keep, I gotta watch, I have that, forgot about that engraving. But you have to watch when using a flat brush and going up next to an area, the pressure you put on your brush. Because the harder you press on your brush, see how my bristles are spreading out? I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but they spread out. So, and that's because I'm putting pressure on that brush. So you want to be mindful of that. I always like to lighten up my pressure when I'm going next to an area. That way my bristles are not spreading out and I accidentally get paint somewhere I don't want it. And I'm going up into the roof line. I'm going to be gluing a roof on there, so I just rather make sure that my paint's up there far enough. Sometimes what I do too with my flat brush, hello, happy Easter, is I like, this is not a flat brush. I forget what it's called. It's kind of curved around the ends, so I can't remember what it's called. And I've never bought one of these before, so this is the first time. But I like to turn my brush on its side, and I still keep light pressure as well, but that also kind of helps me keep a straight line. I'm flirting with disaster. I'm gonna cover up that darn engraving before the day's over with. Not paying attention. I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but as I get further out, I mean, I'm pressing down to see how far my bristles are spreading apart. So you just definitely want to keep that in mind when base coating, how much pressure you put on your brush. Because that will definitely put paint where you don't want it. And And I find I go kind of slow. I go slow period when I'm painting anyhow. I don't slop paint on. I'm not a fast painter. Pretty meticulous. But if you happen to go over the area where you don't want any paint, I like to use Q-tips. And they're great for cleaning up. Boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, I'm gonna do it before the day is over with. I keep forgetting about that thing. I'm not worried about that circle. I actually have a piece that will be gluing on. That's going to be the opening to the birdhouse. So I just chose to make that a separate piece. And also too, when I'm kind of going close to an area that I'm trying to avoid getting paint over that line, I don't put a whole lot of paint on my brush. I don't glob it up. I'm not one to glob up a lot of paint on my brush as it is, but I kind of don't put a whole lot of paint on my brush. And I think the reason why I do that, because just in case I do happen to press a little bit harder than I intended to, it won't make that paint ooze over to areas that I don't want it to. And these little brushes don't hold a whole lot of paint. Alright, let's see if I can get a little bit closer to these lines. And I'm probably going to do like I did on the hat and banner, is I'm going to put some black plum shading on these stripes, just to add a little bit more interest in a different color. It will change the way it looks. So yesterday was the start of the basketball playoffs. And right there I had an oops moment. So just take your Q-tip, dampen it, and wipe off that area. I don't use my brush to clean off oops moments. I think, I mean, you can, but if you're going, you know, I don't know how to explain it. If you do it enough and you're kind of moving your bristles all around this way and that way, eventually in time you're going to ruin your brush. Your bristles are going to start fraying and you want to take care of your brushes, because brushes can be expensive if you're using certain brands. They don't come cheap. And they can last forever. Not forever, but a very, very long time if you take care of them. Cleaning them really good, washing them, getting the paint out. These are all little things that you should do to take care of your brushes. I mean, let me find a cruddy brush here. This is cruddy. You know, when you rinse your brush out, you know, whether you're cleaning it or whatever, I like to take my brush and go like this to get the moisture out, okay? I don't go like this. Look what I just did to my bristles. They're all sprayed out. By going like this, they stay together. Okay? This brush is a bad example, but when you're going like this, you're damaging your bristles. I'm surprised at how many people kind of do that. I always lay my brush down very gently. I mean, I don't want to keep buying brushes over and over and over again. It adds up after a while. And if you end up having a favorite brush, you know, you have to go and buy it again, who says that brand is still around or that particular brush? Because they're always coming up with new things. So I just want to take care of what I have. Even when I'm dipping into my paint, I'm not shoving my paint and my brush in there. Seeing that I have a little bit more red than what I normally would want, I'm going to go ahead and paint this hat band as well. I need to go back and paint that mustache a little bit better. That was a whole lot of paint. It's an early day. Make sure I have these colors up there far enough. I'm pretty sure that I do, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shade under there. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'll probably have to do this twice because this is water-based, so when water hits it, it fades the line unless you're pressing really, really hard. But I'm going to use my cheater and put that on there. Okay. My water is filthy. So I'm going to use some antique white to shade. And I kind of want these shading lines pretty wide, so I'm going to use a wide brush for now. We'll see. I'm going to try my best not to get in the white, the red, but it's a very good possibility it's going to happen. And what I'll do is I'll just go and touch up. I'm kind of, yeah, I can't clean out my water. See, my water's dirty and it's leaving stains, watermarks. I should have emptied my water. If we were trying to do this, that was a bad decision on my part. And technically I should have shaded this light buttermilk first before even applying the red. And I normally do. Why I did not do that this time, I don't know. But I normally do that. That was I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking ahead, that's for sure. I mean, it's fixable. It just means extra work, that's all. And I think I'm going to take a smaller angle brush. I use both angle and a flat brush for shading, but I think I'm going to go around this little hole. Just try and get a little bit of shading around that. It's very minimal. I'm going to have to go over that area. Just making extra work for myself. try and cover up these little spots, and it should be fine. So if you were to buy this and want to paint this, don't do like I just did. Paint your white stripes first, shade them, then go back and paint your red. I just hopped right in there, and now I have to go back and fix my oops moments. And it's no big deal, it just, like I said, it makes extra work. So I really need to empty out my water. That red really stains. Yeah, that's good enough shading for me. It's down there. All right. Even though this water is a mess, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna mess with the red. And then I'm going to empty. I think what I'm going to do, because this, I like to use neon fiery red as my highlighting color. That's bright. I mean, it's very, very bright. So I kind of just want a very delicate highlighting, very minimal. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush this. So I'm just putting it on my brush, working it into my brush, but also then removing the paint off. I picked a way bigger brush than what I wanted. But I'm just gonna lightly go down the edge, outside edge. And you can hardly see that, and I'm okay with that, because I'd rather go back and add more. And I just want this highlighting to be pretty minimal as it is anyways. And I'm kind of walking it over as well towards the center of that stripe. And this isn't the brush I always use for dry brushing, so it reacts differently than my other brush. The bristles are very soft and delicate. Yeah, that highlighting's very minimal, and I think it has everything to do with this brush. Because these bristles are extremely soft. Which this brush probably would be good for dry brushing cheeks. Alright. Alright. I'm going to use, that brush is probably too big. So I'm just going to use a smaller angle brush. I'm going to use a color called Black Plum to shade. It's very, very dark, but it's a beautiful color. And I like to definitely water this color down. And I like to blend it very, very well. And I know I'm going to get it on my white, so just use my Q-tip and take it off. That's actually a little bit darker than what I wanted. Right there, but... And I'm touching oh so lightly too when I'm applying any type of shading and highlighting when I'm floating. The key to a good float is having a good combination of paint and water, and definitely removing too much water from your brush, which that is a struggle for me. but I'm getting better. I think I'm going to attempt maybe to dry brush on this red because I want some shadow. Well, there's not a whole lot. So, hello. So I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna do a cheater line going across. Not too bad. Alright, and I think I am gonna do just a try and do. That's the operative word, try and do. A very light shading down this red stripe. I really don't want a stripe. That's kind of what I got. Let me see if I can fix it. Over my line. But see how just adding that little shading to that one side just changes the whole look. Now I'm gonna go down both on the center stripe. It's a very, very small line, but it's just enough to do something to change the look. It's not going to create any dimension. All it's going to do is just make it look a little bit different. It just adds a different look to your stripe. And I have to wait for this side to dry that I just did, because I am going to go back and do the other side, but I need to wait, because if my brush is wide enough, excuse me, that if I was to do it right now, I'd take off my paint. If I just wanted that a little bit darker. Go down the other side and this is good as far as I'm concerned. And I think, I don't have any left. I think I'm going to float just a little bit of highlighting on that outside. Even though I dry brushed it, I kind of want it just a little bit more distinct, like right here in the middle. And then down here around the corner. Because that just brightens it up a little bit, and that's kind of what I'm after. Just want to do a little bit of highlighting there, just so it's a little bit brighter. I need to go across that bottom. And then I'm going to empty my water. I'm pretty pleased with that. Oh boy. That, yikes, that's all I'm gonna say. And that's what I get for flipping my brush over and not reblending my paint. That's what happens. And I think I'm going to dry brush right up in here. I'm just trying to increase that shadow, that's all. And I feel that I'm able to do that by dry brushing. All right. Okay. So this is where we're at, and I'm pretty happy with that. So when I come back, we're gonna do the roof and the bird and the little opening. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use honey brown. I want like a lighter brown. And then what I'll do is I'll do a little shading with some milk chocolate. But I'm going to use a wet wipe and kind of just do a wash on it to give it a little more weathered look. So I'm going to empty my water. I shall be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Okay, that was perfect timing. The Amazon driver was coming down the drive. Couldn't time that any better. So, let's just get a wet wipe. And we're going to do this roof and the sign. And like I said, I'm going to use brown. And I just put a little bit on. I kind of just rub it in. How much you put on or how little you put on, it has to be your personal preference. I don't want it too dark, but I don't want it too light. Then I have this little welcome sign. I want the grain of the wood to show through. And while I'm at it, I think I'll do this little peephole as well. Now I do plan on putting some shading on that, but I think I want that a little bit darker. Just a titch more. Good. And then once I add shading, that's going to darken it up as well. And I'm going to shade around this welcome sign as well. Just to give it a different look. That's probably good. So I think what I'll do is I think I'll take some camel, which that's a retired color. It's light yellow. And I think I'm going to go right above this little line and highlight, and then I'll go back and shade everything. I just want this to be pretty, a pretty minimal highlight. Very minimal. And I think I'm gonna go around, oh, that's not what I wanted. Around the one side. This I might make a darker brown. I'll have to see when it's all said and done. So I'm going to take milk chocolate and go around the outside edge of the sign. And I might go back with even a darker brown, like some asphaltum or something. So kind of what it's doing is it's highlighting the word welcome a little bit. Yeah, I might change this color. We'll see how it dries and how it looks. But see how that just changes the color, the coloring, and how it looks. Kind of almost creates like a gradient. I gotta see what other brown I would want. Maybe some, let me try some dark chocolate. Definitely gonna paint this more and walk the float over. I probably should have used dark chocolate on this period. And I might go back and paint that. And I'm using the milk chocolate on the bottom here. All right. I don't think I shook up that dark chocolate very good. We'll see how it goes. And I'm just gonna try and do a very faint, thin line underneath that score mark. And it's just gonna kind of darken it up a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually make that milk chocolate because I'm not liking that. I wanted that a little bit darker. So I think I'll go over that. I'm putting this dark chocolate on the bottom and wrapping it around the curve just to make it a little bit darker on the bottom. All right. And I think I'm just gonna use a sponge and make this more solid. And then I'm going to darken that up. Not sure how I feel about that little highlight. Let's see if I can just brighten it up a titch. And that is a little bit too much. I'm going to water down some honey brown. Kind of got it in my engraving, go figure on that. Kind of sloppy, but I'm kind of just making that whole little piece underneath that line darker. So it kind of gives the illusion that it's a layer. And I'm going to stick this on this board. It's just going to make it easier. I might have to go over this with either some soft black or some asphaltum, just to make it really, really dark. Let's see what Camel does for highlighting around that one side. Don't like that at all. I'm getting in a hurry. I'm not letting things dry. Hello. Excuse me. see. I know I have some sable brown. Maybe I'll take some cocoa. And cocoa is just a different variation of the honey brown. And I think what I'm going to do is once this dries really good, I'm actually going to dry brush that dark chocolate on here. And then I am going to go back and shade with soft black. And you can spend a lot of time on detailed work. I do. I think spending more time on detailed work just kind of makes the end result better, and just kind of makes your design stick out a little bit better than others. That's just my opinion. So let's see what I can do here. Alright, let that dry, and I will hit it with some soft black. But this is almost done. So, in the meantime, while that's all drying, let's paint this bird. And I'm thinking about, I have some stars to put on this, and I'm either going to paint them blue, or I'm going to paint them a yellow. I don't know by painting this bird blue if that will, I do need to paint his beak yellow. So, I just gotta kind of watch that. If that'll be too much blue. I'm only gonna go so far over with the blue. Like I said, I gotta paint the beak. Let's just kind of do a look-see. Nope, I'm gonna paint those stars blue. And while I'm at it, I might as well paint his cuffs, because we have an Uncle Sam to do. And his cuffs are gonna be blue. And I'm using uniform blue, which unfortunately is a retired color by Decor, but it is the perfect blue for Americana style painting. All right. Take this soft black and we'll see. And I'm probably gonna go around. I want pretty much like the top and the bottom and the side real dark. All right, good enough. And I think that brown is looking pretty good. It goes with the darkness of the red and the lightness of the light buttermilk. Okay. I know I want to, oh, I need to paint. Need to paint the beak. I think I'll do moon yellow. And to be honest with you, I think that's a little bit too bright. So let's go back over it with marigold. Want it a little bit darker. All right. I know I want to do some dry brushing on the tip of the tail feathers and then above his wing. Because I just want the highlighting to be pretty faint. I'm going to use Williamsburg blue, which this bottle's about on its last leg. So like I said, I just want the tips of the tail feathers. And then I'm going to just try my best to go in this circle, like this curved area of the wing. Well, that's a lot of paint. I'm going to have to rub a lot off there. Overachiever today. And if I get outside of where I want it to be, I'll go back with a brush and hit it. Which in a sense I kind of feel that I did. And I might even take and float a lighter highlight on that wing. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna shade that beak with some honey brown. Which is pretty minimal. I might have to go back and I'm not liking how that is. Another color you could use is burnt sienna. going to use some winter blue just to brighten up that Williamsburg blue highlighting. I need to clean my brush out. Didn't do it. And I just kind of want this highlight to be pretty minimal. Whoa. I don't know how I feel about that. That's a little bit really lighter than what I wanted. It's kind of taken away the look. So, stick with that. Alright, let me try and hit this with some soft black again. Boy, I'm really spending a lot of time on this. Alright, I'm going to use Payne's Gray to shade. And I'm going to shade both sides of that. Because I'm trying to give the illusion that that set of tail feathers is behind these other ones. So I kind of want it a little bit darker. And I'm going to shade around the bottom. of the belly. Just to make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to shade at the bottom of these stars. Just like the bottom 2 points, kind of going up so far to like the middle of the star. I don't know how I feel about that highlighting on that wing. It might be too much. So, I'm going to go back into my base color. I have it mixed with a little bit of that Williamsburg. I'm just going to kind of go over this and kind of soften it a little bit. Let's hit it one more time. Alright, hit this bottom one more time and I'm gonna dot the eyes. And I think this bird is done. And I thought I was getting over my cold, but I don't know today. Alright, I'm just gonna use that soft black and a stylus, and hopefully I have a decent sized one that I can just dot his eye show up very well, but maybe I'll get some black out. I think the beak needs a little bit more shadow. And I might be able to get away with dotting. I don't know if I have a teeny tiny stylus. I'll try it. And when you're using a stylus, you want fresh paint. It helps it come off the stylus better. It helps keep a more circled shape. And I know I want this dot to be tiny, so good enough. All right. Well, I don't like how that happened. I don't know what happened. So let's darken it up again. I don't know if there's a piece of fuzz on there. There is. So while that's drying, let's put away some of these brushes. I like to clean up as I go because the last thing I want to do is when it's time for me to paint, I don't want to have to sit there and clean up before I get started. That's just me. I like to get my paints out ahead of time. I know what colors pretty much I'm going to use. 80% of the colors I'm going to use. I like to get those out and on my table. And every now and again I will switch up, and yeah, I have to go look for them, but I just like to be organized instead of trying to search for colors. And especially because I'm recording a video. I mean, I don't think the audience wants to sit there and wait on me to look for colors. I mean, just rather kind of be organized. And I might only put one star on. I don't know. I'm going to put my bird on first and my roof. And then we'll take it from there. That's actually too much glue. That thing will be sliding away. like in smaller areas, I use the Stick Fast stick, and it sticks pretty fast. That's why it's called Stick Fast. But like in smaller areas, I like to just take my Q-tip and brush the glue on. It doesn't take a whole lot of glue. And the more glue you put on, the more chances it's going to slide all over the place. So, I probably should have wiped my sides off. And I will go back and do that. Something you can do is take a dark magic marker and go over these. Something else you can do is you can take some sandpaper, sanding stick, and you can sand around the tip of this roof to make it look a little bit more rustic and weathered if you wanted. That's more than enough glue. Yikes. And if you don't want to glue the hole on, don't want to paint that and glue it on, this birdhouse, I mean, the score marks are there, so you can just paint it. I'm kind of thinking, kind of like that. Maybe bring this down a little bit more. You can have it, well, no, you probably shouldn't have it over. I might have to create another star, like something smaller. I have all kinds of stars here. Let me see. Maybe I want this to have 3 stars on it. Have it up there at the peak. And then do like a smaller one. I don't know. All right, let's do it. to add another star. Alright, so let's clear this. And I did not put score lines on where you put the welcome sign because you might not want it on there. Or you might want it in a different spot. So I kind of left that up to you folks to kind of decide where you wanted it. But I think a smaller star over there kind of just adds, it would look a little bit bare. So all right, that's it. So, pretty cute, very patriotic. So I like it. And I'll be on next week to work on the Uncle Sam portion. We got some banners to paint for this as well. And this insert will be done for the interchangeable window. So I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. So I hope you all have a wonderful Easter. If you happen to watch this after the fact, if you want to type in hashtag replay, that would be greatly appreciated. But if you don't, it's no big deal. Like I said, I do have a YouTube channel. It's Elavita Designs. Excuse me. If you want to subscribe. Goodness gracious. Because all my live videos on Facebook will be deleted after 30 days. That's Facebook's new policy, and that's okay. So, but I'm saving them on YouTube, and a good way to know when something's being uploaded is to subscribe. So, until then, you folks have a wonderful week, a great Easter. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.